have made it to Stu and the Nun, an online radio show that looks to inform, educate, and hopefully make you laugh. Stu and the Nun is a show focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on our show chat room, via our Facebook page, and on Twitter. Like to thank those who make this show possible and allow us to bring it to you. Our show sponsors are Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and Boohammer.com. That's it, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nun. You got Stu here in the Northern Studio with some cool lighting effects going on, if I must say so myself. Sporting the Commodity Outdoor Development Group shirt and the Veteran Outdoors hat, representing all the ways I can. And my brother from another motherland in the Southern Studio, the Nunn. What's up, Tope?
Hey, buddy. Just living the North American dream here. We got a nice little temperature going. It's a nice still night, but which is nice because it's been a pretty hectic little bit. Yesterday was Veterans Day. We, as always, overcommitted and underdelivered in terms of locations and things we wanted to do. I see my main man Aaron there in the chat. I was supposed to get down to 12 Fox Beer yesterday to be part of their Yakima Chief launch. I just ran out of time. Unfortunately, due to consumption of alcohol, I was at the mercy of other people to drive. Yeah, no, true story. But no, things to be moving along here. It's an interesting state of affairs.
Yeah.
Interesting state of affairs. Veterans Day used to be, growing up for me, it was Remembrance Day. Based on the 11th minute, the 11th hour, the 11th day, the 11th month, the old armistice. And, it's here seemed to, the whole motto back then was "Lest we forget."
Mm-hmm.
And great pieces like Flinders Fields, was written, in Flanders Fields, the poppies grow, on the crosses row on row. And now it's like some kind of mattress Applebee's thing, and it's turned into this weird Hallmark moment that entitled jackwagons go out and post things on social media and wear things and expect people to do nice things for them. And man, it seems weird, man. Seems weird.
Yeah, we went out to eat last night, Veterans Day. We're empty nesters now, and went out to our favorite Mexican place. We joked about, Applebee's, get my, five item menu or whatever. It's like, dude, I don't need it free. Went out to a nice Mexican place. Wasn't doing anything it wasn't doing a free meal. Wasn't doing this. It's just our favorite place. And being in Texas, you can appreciate a good Tex-Mex place. And just went and had that, and had a nice meal with just us. But you're right, it is. I had some other friends I was messing with. They were doing a turn and burn trip here in New York. They had to go get something, and I was like, don't forget to hit your Applebee's, And it's sad that it's you got the emails probably a few days before, right? Here's the list of all the places you can go.
Yeah.
And get this. I saw a roofing place. It was like 10% off roofing for veterans. I'm like, that's not a small investment. That's not something you just go, let's throw that $12,000 roof on, babe. Get 10% off.
One, I admire, the audacity of the gesture. Two, no, yeah, because they're marking it up, and the 10%. It's just an additional markup that they put on right beforehand.
Yeah, every going out of business sale. Right.
I got a couple of those emails, and now when I see, so we got Aaron right in the chat room on Facebook, and 12 Fox Beer. Here's a couple of bets, 12 Foxes, for the engineers out there. that built this brewery from the ground up, and they use Veterans Day as an opportunity to give back to the community, to raise money for the Gary Sinise Foundation, to bring in some barbecue guys to, help raise money for like the local. There's a veterans pantry type thing there, and then giving out free beer, right? The But here they are doing like a positive thing. I love that, and
Right.
I love the spirit behind it. So when I see stuff like that, I get excited. I promote it. I chat it up because like there's that's what I call leadership, right? Going into the community, taking the knowledge and the experiences that we have and applying it to making our community better. And that's kind of what I think is part of the expectation.
Right.
Like when I signed my name and I raised my hand, I knew that I was going to do something for a short period of time in my life, but it was going to affect everything else I did in my life. And I knew that for the rest of my life, I would carry a moniker that I had to uphold and I had to live up to. And like, and it, and to me, it meant something, kind of like the NCO Creed,
Right.
like it's supposed to mean something. The Ranger Creed, it's supposed to mean something. And when I see everything being dumbed down to like this weird entitlement, like, hey, like we should hit this place and hit that place and get this free thing, get this free thing, and we should like, man, like you're selling out your legacy for, and let's be honest, like Applebee's is not a sponsor, they never will be, based on what I'm about to say. Like that's a shit show of a restaurant. Like, like that's why it's made fun of in movies, like the numbers, pieces of flair, and all that stuff. Like, I mean, bless
Talladega
their hearts.
Talladega Nights.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like come on,
Yeah.
man.
No,
And
I mean,
so,
again, the gesture's fine. The gesture's great, and they weren't the first, right? Golden Corral, I think, started it, and other places, and that's awesome. And it's awesome when places give discounts, right? Uh, and that's nice, their way of giving back. But the whole, they've jammed it all in that one day, right? We remember we used to joke several years ago,
right,
Toby, but back in but it was like Memorial Day, like this ain't your go get your 10% off at Lowe's or Home Depot, right? It was always that, and then it was Veterans Day, and it's become so much that it's become, and it's just added to this entitlement mentality, which I think I would safely, you would agree, it's awesome that places want to give a discount or do something to show their
yeah,
appreciation, but it's gone
no. So
overboard.
like, I love, like Aaron just made a comment, and his comment is, what crazy is we can't give away our free beer because all the vets that come in always say we are paying it forward. See, like I love that.
Right.
I love that. What I don't like is like you said, like, hey, it's great when people offer a discount. Um, and the whole discount thing. Let's go to its genesis. So the student discount and the military discount was based on students not having money, military being
not
poorly paid,
not having much more.
and not having much more. There's a lot of cases where students were doing better than in the military, but like
And the senior
we,
citizen discount, same thing, right? It's like, hey,
same thing, fixed income, right? So
right.
like it's all these discounts are based off fixed income. Now, like the wage disparities, that gap's been like it's been closed, right? Students, still get it. When people start demanding that, and of course, I'm in business, and I hear it all the time. Where like people like come and ask me, they're like, "Hey man, like, uh, let me get that veterans discount," and I'm like, like, well, we don't have one. What? Like, what do you mean you don't have veterans discount? You don't like freedom? Like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like I'm
Are you
like
gonna
I
go? Are
don't
you gonna
need
go back and take those bullets back down from downrange because I didn't give you
yeah,
a discount? Like you gonna?
like that's exactly what it is. No, like
You don't like freedom.
I, yeah, no, no, like I'm serious. Like people
I'm
say
just
like
trying
the
to
most
imagine some dude
ridiculous.
saying that some
No, dude,
some low
come on, all the
density
time.
some low density MOS 5'11" wearing poodle with a harness on it,
Yes. In
Oakley's on
fact,
the head.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that poodle's a
Just
service dog.
yeah, well, because there's a harness, it automatically serves
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And so like, hey man, like, come on, like it. I appreciate, deeply appreciate anyone that signed their name and raised their hand, whether they did it for 10 days, 10 months, 10 years, whatever. Like I deeply appreciate that because that's what maintains our way of life. But when you raised your hand and you signed your name, like you bought into the understanding like that you were going to get paid, you were going to get some amazing benefits, you're getting a great opportunity for college, you were getting a great opportunity for your family to have follow-on school, like a lot of things.
and a free
Now,
glazed chicken breast dinner at Applebee's with 2 sides.
but like now, if you raised your hand and you signed your name, like you got like some pretty cool things. Now the old timers walking around wearing the hats that got drafted, that you know there wasn't
That
this,
didn't get the appreciate. They got no
there
appreciation.
wasn't, yeah, this existential threat was a lot different. Like I was just talking to someone today at a meeting, and I was making commentary about seeing the traveling Vietnam Wall a month or so back, and man, I got to tell you, like 58,000 names, and of those names, like how many didn't raise their hand?
Right.
Like how many of them like got a letter in the mail? They're the lottery picked the last digit of their social, and they had to report. Like man,
And
like give,
for those that did come back,
yeah,
whether they raised their hand or not, that had to hide in shame, that could not be proud of
yes,
their
yeah,
service. That's why I think it's so great now when people
yeah,
talk about that. Now
like
you see the guy with the, you see that they got the hats and the kiosk outside the PX and stuff, and you got the guy with like the Operation Iraqi Freedom hat. Stuff. That's cool, right? You got
yeah,
about 20 years for you really need to wear that, right? Because right now,
yeah,
those dudes from 40 years ago that got no, now is their time to be proud. They can wear the vest, they can wear the hats, and they should be proud because guess what, now we have a new generation that has grown up and felt guilty for the shitty way they treated you, that you should be able
yeah,
to wear that and be proud, and hopefully everyone thanks you all the freaking
yeah.
time, right?
Now, like you want to make sure like that guy gets a dinner.
Yeah.
Now, whether the corporation wants to put a discount on it, whether like you see that guy, I tell you what, once being stationed in Korea and once walking the terrain of Korea and feeling the temperature swings from the bitter cold to like the hot muggy humidity, and understanding and being in those trenches and seeing those pillboxes and knowing like a flamethrower at close range was like just knowing what that actual combat like was. I cannot see a man wearing anything Korea related without stopping whatever I'm doing, pulling over, getting,
Right.
whatever, and acknowledging them, thanking them, appreciating them. And if you see that guy in the restaurant, you better not let the corporation buy his dinner. Like you buy his dinner, because like that was an actual like stud. And the guys from Vietnam, studs. They came back and they didn't get all the happiness. There's no post 9/11. There's
Right.
no like there was no fancy Hazelwood. There's not all this like supercalifragilistic. Every Friday was surf and turf.
Right.
Like, come on now. Like you guys went out on some missions. You had a hard couple minutes, and then you went back and played Guitar Hero. It was recreational warfare. All right.
That's yeah,
Like,
got a lot of Xbox time.
yeah, no, like, no, seriously,
Box
like,
sets of TV shows and movies.
yeah, no, like, while there were some really hard moments and some pits and valleys, and like in the big picture, like when was the last time someone in GWAT experienced trench foot? Where was the last time like someone in GWAT experienced monkey butt? Like when was the last time someone in GWAT froze to death?
Right.
Or
Right.
or I don't know, like hey, even like say lost a digit due to temperature and environmental factors.
Right.
Like just keeping it real. We got Gore-Tex, we got,
Oh
like,
yeah.
come on, bro. Like so when I like I get I always got to come back to the purpose of the 11 11 11 11 because man, do I like think that we owe those that went before us our respect lest we forget. Like the horde will come lest we forget. And I feel like we've forgotten. And I'm
Right.
not talking about the American people. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about you and me. I'm talking about the veteran community. Like if your idea is like, going and getting a free meal and watching Range 15 and like imitating some like jackwagon that thinks he's a sergeant major, like, man, like I'm disappointed in you. Like, I do not feel like you represent our community well. There you have it. Cue the hate mail in the DMs.
Yeah. Here they come. But I tell you. But I tell
In
you.
3, 2, because
Yeah.
how dare I like
Speak bad
the
of the
sacrilege,
range 15. Yeah.
the
Um.
sacrilege.
Uh. Of Ross Patterson. The one thing though I tell you was good watching last night was our good friend Scott Mann's Better Ground. Holy cow! I don't know if you got a chance to watch it. I had Scott on. For those who didn't see it, I did a special show, a special what I did. I think I did like 30 minutes. Sunday before last, right? Because we wanted to get Scott on, we couldn't do it,
Hmm.
and I did it from another state, way out west, in my hotel because he and I were trying to link up, and we talked about his thing he did Wednesday night, and if you didn't catch it, go definitely check out Better Ground. You can still buy a ticket. You buy a ticket and you could watch it. You could have watched it live last night or watch it. Go back and watch it anytime. What a phenomenal! They see, he's the creator of the Last Out play. He's a retired Special Forces soldier. Created this phenomenal play as outreach and has changed, just opened up people's eyes and lives. So they took a part of that play, performed it live. They had to do all the social distancing stuff, um, and then they did three other miniature plays. They did were from different from. Like World War II, Vietnam, and modern day, and they did these little vignettes of plays that they wrote for based on stories and letters and that kind of stuff. And he used all vets to play these different parts, just like he has in his play. A lot of the folks from his own crew, road crew, all that stuff that are almost everyone's connected to the military. Use them to do these other things. But a great thing. If you haven't seen Better Ground, it was on last night. Definitely go check it out. What's awesome, Toby, I don't know if you know, I don't know if you saw my interview with Scott. All the proceeds from this are going to building a veterans theater in Tampa to
Hmm.
establish a place for veterans to go and learn the arts and get that therapeutic help of writing and creating and acting and all that kind of stuff. And what better place in Tampa, right? No shortage of vets down there. And that's what it's going towards, is building this theater and having a place for veterans to do screenwriting and directing and acting and all that kind of stuff. So that was a good thing to watch. Versus, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff on TV yesterday. History Channel ran all day long. I mean, they ran like this, a 5 hour like everything Navy SEAL section. They had all kind of stuff going on. But that was a great thing to watch last night. If our listeners and viewers didn't see it, definitely go check it out. It's $10. $10. It's phenomenal to watch these veterans tell these stories that I'm sure many, if not all, could relate to. But
Yeah, we don't. Rob's on the coast fishing, so I was like, man, I gotta see if I can find that link so I
oh
can get it up there.
yeah, well,
But
definitely. Um,
the
no, go ahead.
yeah, so no, like that was my that was my annual
Did you do
like
anything special
diatribe.
for Veterans Day? Did you do, or were you just busy working?
No, I tried, man. Like so, uh, I was exceptionally busy working, uh, but like I try to do something, that's personal.
Yeah,
Um, I get the requests, to talk to schools, stuff like that. Just kind of like a lot of people do. I'm kind of like careful about doing that. But here in Georgetown, the Chamber of Commerce, or sorry, the Rotary, I apologize, the Rotary put together a field of flags of honor. And, you sponsor a flag. And so, like, I sponsored some flags, and a great guy, lover of the show, a great Air Force veteran. Shout out to my man, Scott Stout. If you need any real estate, he's your guy. But he also sponsored some, and so, like, I went down there, kind of broke away on my own for like a hot second, and just kind of looked and walked through the flags and looked at the names, and because each one of those names represents like somebody's that person was somebody to somebody.
Right.
And and just and tried to take it in, and just tried to, like, of course, I wanted to look for the flags. I did one for Sergeant Jake Demand. I did one for Captain Drew Jensen. We had Cody's grandfather in there, Sergeant Johnson, from Vietnam, from World War II in Korea. And so, like, I wanted to kind of do that because they were somebody to me,
Right. Right.
but also to look at just random names of people that were somebody to somebody. And and like, I still have that Canadian Remembrance Day mentality.
Right.
I know, like, a lot of that is more of a Memorial Day here in the U.S. But then I just, our boy Matt Goss, like, always, shoots a little message out, always says something, and I love it because it reminds me of my childhood, because we had the same experience as growing up with our grandfathers, serving Her Majesty's service, and you know, or His Majesty's service at the time, and, like, lest we forget.
Right.
And like, I had my family and I watched The Darkest Hour. Uh, you know, trying to, like,
what a good flick.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man.
just to, like, kind of, and I know, like, people are like, man, that's a little morbid. That's, like, very somber. That's like, no, man, like, lest we forget, like, people. The reason the world is the way it is because people did something. When you think of, like, Dunkirk, that was a civilian population that received a call over the radio, like, because that's what they had. So
Right.
imagine if, like, Facebook did a call to action today and said, hey, our boys are getting jammed up. If you got a private plane and you can get to this airfield, like, and they put a call to action on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, like, do you think people would answer that call? Well, I know in the South some would, like, for
We
sure.
see that with the
We
Cajun
see it.
Navy, right? We see that
We
for
see it
domestic
exactly.
domestic issues,
Yeah,
right? We see
we
that.
see it with some of that. Um, but like, would the nation answer that call, like, via some kind of commercial, like, call to action? So I don't know, man. I like to remember what makes the world a great place. The reason
Right. And we
we
need that
haven't
right
had
now.
wars.
We need that
Yeah.
right now.
No, because everyone's like quick. They're like, here comes the Civil War. It's like, bitch, please. Like, yeah, like, here comes some. The only thing that's happening right now is plywood sales are going up and ammo sales are going up.
Yeah.
like,
Well, ammo
like,
sales aren't going up
yeah.
because you can't find it. But yes,
Well,
if it's
that's
out
why
there,
the
it's going.
price is going up.
Right.
But, like, plywood's being sold, ammo's, like, being sought after, and, like, when it all comes down to it, a bunch of keyboard warriors are just that.
Right. Right.
A bunch of keyboard warriors. Like, come on, man.
But it's,
I
it's
like.
interesting you
I'm
mentioned.
saying, come on, man, as often as I can.
I
'Cause
see that. Yeah, you might as
I'm
well.
just trying to trigger. I'm just trying to trigger people, like, say, not my president.
Come on, man. Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's interesting you mentioned the Armistice Day and the because obviously this in Britain and Canada and countries Australia that I know
We
of.
call it the Commonwealth.
Yes. You know, people are wearing that red poppy all month, right?
Yeah.
This is the month
Amen.
of November, right? Sun. It's
Amen.
I worn enough where I bought one. It was handmade felt, and it's this Sunday when I go to church. It's going to be on the sport coat, right?
I love
And when
it.
I see people wearing it, I mean, it's like you always hear about the
Yeah.
Jeep people that always see each other in Jeep and they
Yeah,
wave at each
like
other.
throw the finger up
When you
with a
see someone
motorcycle, like
when you're
yeah,
someone in a, when you're or maybe it's a
yeah,
Ducati thing too, right? But you're someone in the U.S. and you're wearing a red poppy, see someone with a red poppy, you get each other's attention. You're like, "What's up, man? Hey, I like your
yeah.
poppy. I like
No,
yours too." It's just like because it's not common here in Canada. You don't think about it. It's almost like you
no.
better if you see someone without one, you're kind of like,
What, you don't like free? You don't like freedom?
yeah. You don't like freedom there? What's up?
No, like
Can,
the
can I
no,
get a couple loony
I
discount?
yeah, maybe a toonie. The no, I love how the way you just said that. Like I've owned a Jeep before, and that the whole finger up, like the acknowledgement of another Jeep. I ride a motorcycle, and it doesn't matter the make of motorcycle. Like you pass another motorcycle, like on the road, there's a salute. There's like a little like low hand, like acknowledgement. A couple fingers. Like whatever. There's an acknowledgement. Unless your hands are like actively engaged, but there's a head nod. There's
Right.
something
There's something.
like you don't know that person. You're like you don't know anything about that person, but you have like this kinship. You're like,
We're both
and
out here. We're both out here risking our lives at 90 mile an hour.
yeah, well, or in a Jeep or whatever.
Right.
But it's like, and I believe the word kinship is correct because you feel this familial connection
Right.
because of this inanimate object, right? Because of this passion that you share. Now, like when you see people with that poppy, you're like, it's the same thing. Like, man, my people.
Right.
Like you appreciate you love it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, so it was that was we just like I say we went out to dinner. We watched that last night. I had a good friend come over. Needed some help with a little house thing here. Do a house update, and he come over and he brought over a bottle of Makers, and it was totally blew me away. He goes, "This for you?" I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Veterans." I'm like, "Dude, you absolutely never know." And I said, "Well, you got to drink it with me." And he's like, "Well, I'm a beer drinker. I don't really drink bourbon that much." I'm like, "Well, you picked the wrong night. Good thing you live nearby." So and he was like, we're sipping on it and on ice. And he's like, well, this is really smooth. I'm like, yeah. Well, he goes, some of it you can't sip like this. I like that's cheap crap. We don't buy
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Makers it made the cut, right? That's something you sip on. So I had to educate him in between sipping
yeah.
and mixing.
Kelly Krieger approved.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
hey, let's spin in a couple other things, man. It's been a hot
yeah,
week, and
yeah. Let's
it's
do it.
been a hot mess. So we'll just hit right on it, right? The we got election results. We have it's been amazing how in 2000 the media claimed Gore was going to be president, and we saw how that worked out. And now we see this now where every media outlet is trying to race to call something to be the first at doing it. You'd think they would have learned 4 years ago not to call some of those so early, but I guess their memory was short lived, and it was all about trying to call it again. And here we are with still I think 4 or 5 states that are not 100% locked up, and depending on how those turn, can totally change the result. But we've it's you've got the Democrats who are saying what was it Whoopi said, just deal with it or whatever. She got on there and everyone, they're all saying, just deal with it, accept it, quit trying to fight it. But that's the same ones that 4 years ago decided to launch about 3.5 years worth of Russia collusion investigations and
Yeah, resist.
and resist.
Hashtag
Yeah, is that
resist.
right? Resist. I know some liberal neighbors are in the corner that have those signs. I wonder if they let me borrow them now. I wonder if I could have them. Is that how that works? Or
Yeah.
you know,
No.
it's I'm just wondering. But
So all right. So like Toby's 2 minute take.
we should make that a segment now. Toby's 2 minute
Yeah.
take.
Toby's 2 minute take and start the clock. The the hypocrisy of it is not lost on anybody, and you know that is exactly why the hypocrisy is why in 2016 Donald Trump won the election. That hypocrisy is still affecting people. If you want to like truly improve the country and you truly want to heal, why are you boarding up businesses? Why are you planning different things. Uh, they dropped the insinuation months and months and months ago about like the peaceful transition of power, and like that. If you didn't see that in the playbook, you're obviously not attuned to politics. That's called virtue signaling, and they were setting the stage because they knew that there would be some form of contest, right? And they knew like whatever research they had done, they knew that the disdain that some people hold for Donald Trump was going to parlay into votes regardless of the candidate. They chose a candidate that won one primary and never got in double digits in any other primary. So the biggest loser that the Democratic Party had got the nomination, not the winner,
Mm-hmm.
not a decisive clear winner. Like the dude only won South Carolina. Let's not forget
And this is his
and
third time running, like for
yeah,
president. I think maybe
right.
a fourth. I think third. Yeah.
So it's like they this whole and when people sit and look at this and go like, how did a guy that didn't win or only won one primary, didn't get into double digits in any other against his own people, like end up getting the nod? The guy didn't campaign. He didn't do that because they knew like
Dude, they
that
kept that lid
they
on him,
had
literally the lid on him tight because anytime he
yeah.
opened his mouth, they
Oh,
cringed.
like, and on top of it, here's a guy, that scandal is just, he was party to spying. Like he's party to corruption and it, like, not like loose lines. Like we could maybe circumstantially like see our way down this path. Like, no, there's a yellow brick road. It's well paved. It's got neon lights with arrows. It's like a video game that's like channeling your vehicle at a high rate of speed. Like you got to go here or you're going to hit this wall. And like, yeah, here we go. This is why people believe it was stolen.
Right. Yeah.
And like, you can't. You look at the irregularities. Look at all the
Well,
stuff.
not even just that. You look at hundreds of thousands of votes coming in at the last minute after the fact. You look at
Yeah,
you
no,
look at and here's a couple key things. None of those votes, all those votes going one way. Like it'd be different. It was like 70% were Biden, 30% were Trump. Like no,
yeah,
they're all
no,
100%.
100%.
And guess
Yeah,
what?
no, like,
And none of the downstate results changed. None of the, I mean,
yeah,
downstate, none of the down ballot results changed. None of the senators, none of the House, none of the judges, none of the anything else that
yeah,
was going on. How are you telling me all those ballots came in with just the
yeah.
president picked?
There,
I mean,
there is definitely,
Helen Keller could see this.
there's definitely the appearance of impropriety.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't have the facts. I'm going on appearance. So I will say that there's definitely the appearance of impropriety.
You know
But
what I heard today? What I
but
heard
telling
today would
me,
be if the Democrats believe that they really won, they should be like count them all, recount
yeah,
everything.
no, like,
I'd be like, I
no,
know I won, count everything. There's
no,
no doubt.
like the behavior that's there uh, tends to lead me to believe like where there's smoke, there's fire.
An innocent man says, "Search
Yeah,
my
like,
search." Right? An innocent man says, "Search
yeah,
my car. Come in my
hey,
house." Right?
you have anything illegal in your car?
Nope. Come,
No. Do you
come.
mind if I take a look? Yes.
Yeah.
He-
I'm gonna run the dog,
yeah,
and this dog is named Giuliani. I'm gonna run
yeah,
the dog, and he's gonna
yeah.
if he whiffs
So,
on something.
so like, I agree. Like, there's definitely the appearance of impropriety. There's so many that like it's hard to ignore. We are gonna have to fight this out and witness it. And when I say we have to fight it out, I mean like the American people.
Yeah.
The American people are the ones that are gonna have to sit there and deal with this. And it's so unfortunate. Now, I get a little confused because they started calling President Vice President, former Vice President Biden, candidate Biden. They started calling him the president elect.
Yeah. He has an
Um,
office now
I,
too. I guess I don't know.
yeah, like, okay, one, that's not a real thing, and two, like he hasn't been elected.
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying that because I'm a Trump person or I'm a Republican person. Like, I'm Canadian, right? Like, I'm a neutral third party. I'm trying to be a neutral third party here. I'm trying to be unbiased. Like, you got a guy going out there like making a really strong PR campaign that he's got a job that he actually doesn't have.
Not yet.
Now, there's a good chance that he's going to get it. There's absolutely a real good chance that he's going to get it. But like, the electoral college hasn't happened. You don't become the president elect until the electoral college make you that.
I don't. You don't
There's
start
no such
wearing.
thing.
Hey, you don't start wearing airborne wings in the second week of jump school, right? I
No,
know I'm gonna
no,
get
like
it. Like I'm
no,
just gonna put
like
these on right now.
no, yeah. The and to kind of start going around doing the things that he's doing, like he's doing more now than he ever did on the campaign, and I'm like,
He's establishing
oh,
policy. He's saying what his executive orders are gonna be.
yeah,
He's picking cabinet members. I mean, it's
like
like
no, like, and it's really interesting, and there's some real interesting things going on out there. You know, he's brought in like this doctor dude that's going to be like his new like COVID guy, and like immediately like, oh, I'm going to shut down the country. Like, okay, bro, like that's in January. Like, you, you're just absolutely demonstrating horrible leadership. And the reason you're demonstrating horrible leadership is because you're telling people what you're going to do when you're in no position to tell them
well, the
that.
best definition,
Like,
the best reason that is because he's not a leader. He's a follower, right? He's
yeah,
surrounding
and
himself with the people that are gonna pull his strings, and it's gonna
yeah,
be like Weekend at Bernie's, and they're gonna prop him up so they can stay in the house, but he's an empty suit, right? I mean, that's a reality. I mean,
yeah,
that's the reason why they kept him
no,
stuff in the
and
basement.
but you can't go around telling people it's time to unite, it's time to heal, it's time to do this, it's time to like, okay, because one, the American people don't need to heal. Like, they need to move on.
Right.
Like,
Well, you can't
if you're
look. You can't. I
if you
can't call you names like chumps and this and that, and then in the same breath say, "But I'm going to be your president. I'm going to bring
yeah,
us all together."
no,
Like,
like you just need to move on.
right,
Like, going around like making it sound like I'm gonna give this sound like I'm here for unity. No, you're not. Like, your actions speak to the exact opposite.
right.
Like, at the words that come out of your mouth and your actions speak the exact opposite of what you're alleging your intent is. And when people get in front of microphones and say things like, "Oh, y'all just need to deal with it," it's like, okay, um, like, cool. The bitter losing and the bitter winning, like, doesn't help the country.
No,
That's not unity. Bitter losing and bitter winning doesn't help anybody. Accepting and moving on is what we need to do. And here's the thing: it's like, if Biden wins and they redo this counts, and Biden's the winner, and they're like, okay, he's the president, and like, make it official, and let's move on. And like, I, a lot of people are like, I can't believe that our world's going to end if Biden's president. It's like, no, it's not. Dude's been in office for 47 years. And he's done jack or shit except like ruin black families, do a bunch of racist shit,
and touch a
and
lot of
like,
young girls and women.
yeah, and
Sniff
and
them.
then like sold himself, like, to make his family rich.
Yeah.
Like, he's got so many debts he's got to cover. Like, the last thing I'm worried about is a Biden presidency.
If he ruins anything, he's going to ruin things because he's beholden to people, which is something this country's gotten used to. The president hasn't been for the last 4 years, and it's going to take people back to the politics prior to 2016 when the lobbyists and the corporations had the president by the nads, right?
And then guess what happens? People like are going to identify that, and they're like, our bad.
What are the late night talk show hosts going to talk about? What is Saturday Night Live going to pander?
Oh, dude, come on. They got so much material coming out of this guy. Like,
if they truly go back to satire, Yes, if they go back to
They
center.
got so much, and they will, they absolutely will. They got so much material that they can deal with. You know, I remember like back in the day, Dan Quayle was like this huge, like,
Oh, I
you
remember
know,
potato.
like, yeah, no, I mean,
But let me
if
highlight
ever
something.
we haven't had a good like vice president like of comedic values, you know, since Dan Quayle.
Yeah,
We got Kamala Harris, we,
I can't
it,
handle that
it,
cackle though, man. I can't handle.
yeah,
Oh, I can't
yeah,
handle it, dude. Can't handle it.
and here and what's gonna happen is like people are gonna try and pull that cancel culture, and it's not gonna fly because people are on all levels are tired of that. They're tired of people telling them what they can and they can't think. They're tired of people telling them what they can and they can't say.
Right,
Like, they're tired of like companies, you know, truly colluding with political parties to change elections.
right,
Like
right,
not a country, I mean a company.
right.
Like, and people even on both sides, even if your team won, are like kind of like, oh man,
Here's the one
yeah,
thing. Here's the one good
yeah,
thing that came out of this. Good, bad, or indifferent. Assuming most of them are actually living and also, we had the highest turnout ever for a presidential election, which is, finally, right? Our presidential election, we've talked about on the show before, it is embarrassing how little this. I mean, I saw people that I know on go on Facebook and people I kind of respected and thought they were pretty normal, saying that this was the first election they ever voted in, and they're in their 40s, right? And I'm sitting there going, I get if you're in your 20s, maybe you didn't vote when you turned 18, or maybe the first couple of times, but you have people in their 40s that are saying, I'm so proud I finally voted for the first time. That's not anything to be proud of. You're 20 plus years late, but at least people did turn out to vote. Assuming they only voted once and all that kind of stuff and everything, but obviously we were seeing record numbers of people that were registering to vote for the first time. So obviously it did spawn people for whatever reason. I can tell you, Toby, I talked, obviously what we do, and we talk, and we're opinionated. I had a number of conversations with people that wanted to get into it with me about Trump versus Biden. Yet to this day, did I have anyone of all the ones I talked to was able to give me an argument of why Biden without mentioning Trump. None of them. It always came back to that. I would just say,
yeah.
okay, let's talk about it. Let's have a civil conversation. Why are you voting for Biden but you can't mention Trump? And it always went down that road. And it just, that part also, even though I'm enlightened by or encouraged by a record number of people finally voting and doing their civic duty, I'm very much discouraged because you have you have people that literally were not voting for the best candidate. They were voting against the person they didn't like, which is I'd rather you not fricking vote. That's not the reason to vote for someone. Vote for someone that you believe in, right? It's because these are the people that in 2 years or 3 years, when they are paying extra taxes or they are being stifled by regulation or their business isn't able to do stuff or the gas prices up, I don't want to hear them complain, because then that's when Troy's going to start to speak up, and I don't care if they're family or friends or anything. I'm going to be like, shut the hell up. This is what you wanted. You got what you wanted, and don't say you didn't know it was coming. We got 47 years to see it was coming, right? Everyone knew what was coming, but either way, sorry, that was Troy's 2 minute or more rant. But
Well, I'm going to circle back on it, but first, I'd like to thank all our sponsors that support us. Commodity Outdoors, obviously. Troy rocking the Commodity shirt, rocking a little Veteran Outdoors hat, which is also made by Commodity. I'm wearing some Commodity. Enlisted Nine Fight Company always do their best to shout us out when they can. Boohammer.com, Warrior Media Solutions. And new to the family, you guys got the pleasure of listening to him for his second or third appearance on the show, Travis Wilson of Alpha Elite Performance. And just right from Travis's mouth to your ears, make sure that you use Elite 15 when you go to alphaeliteperformance.com and save yourself 15%. So use the code Elite 15 and save yourself some money on some great Alpha Elite Performance products. I've been using the GBNT, which is a sleep aid, and it's a recovery aid. So and then in the chat room immediately, we want to be a sponsor. 12 Fox Beer, you're in the house. bring out that
Yeah.
Yakima Chief beer and get it on here. But uh, back to what we were saying. Thank
Yes.
you for the shout out to the sponsors. And Aaron, man, hit us up in the DMs. You know we
Yes.
rep the good beers. They actually make like
I
legit
will.
beer.
I will probably need some sent to me up here in the northern
In
studio
fact,
to try it
I'm
out.
like I'm like looking to see. I bet I have a 12 Fox hat. I should go put it on in
Mm.
my office here somewhere. The
Yeah. Yeah.
but
So
back
let's.
back to what we were saying. I just want to wrap everything up with a very quick discussion that I had with the most beautiful and awesome 13-year-old in the world, Scarlett, the River Nunn, and I was talking to her about life, and she's you know now a teenager, developing ideas, looking at the world through a different lens. Like you got to pay attention to like who's shaping that lens, because like find out more about your teachers that your kids are spending time with, because they have a huge influence on you, on your family, and what your kids think and do and act and behave and what's acceptable. But the lesson that I was trying to impart on her, which was a life lesson that I got at about the same age from a wise man, a mountain of a man, a guy by the name of Dale Gordon Nunn. That's right, my pops. Uh, and he said to me that we live in a world that we're so lucky that we can think and believe and feel as God puts it in our hearts. My man was a strong man of faith, but he always said, "You and I will have differing opinions on different things. Yours is not more valid or less valid. Mine is not more valid or less valid. If you can defend it, if what you think and feel can be articulated with a verbal defense, meaning you can substantiate it with
All right.
facts, you can substantiate or correlate it, you can bring it in to some form of defense that that thought has merit enough to warrant defense. You can own it, it can be yours, and it can be respected. Now, I don't like everything that certain things do. I don't like certain philosophies that certain churches have. I don't like certain political processes, but I can articulate why.
Right.
And my articulation isn't a feeling. My articulation is founded in some kind of actual defense of the process. I'm a capitalist. I like the opportunity of having the opportunity to do well, but the doing well is reliant on me putting in effort. Like, that's why I'm in America, the American dream. I believe that if you have a position, you should be able to defend it. Sometimes it's as simple as like, I like guns. I think, an armed society maintains a polite society. And people are like, well, how do you defend that? Well, because some really smart dudes in 1776 started this country, and one of the things they thought and they put in, and it says, shall not be infringed upon, that's my defense.
Right. Yeah.
Because someone smarter than me put it in there for a purpose. But I can also say why. I can say that when you look at criminality and the violence behind criminality, the majority of times that was not legally obtained.
Right.
Like, so if it's weapons, if it's
Well, and there's,
and
there's classic
if
examples of it, right? You
yeah,
can sit there and
yeah,
say people may go into a theater and shoot it up, but they don't go into an NRA convention, right?
right.
It's
But
like,
but yeah, no, but whatever your point is, you can defend it.
right,
If your defense, like you just said a few minutes ago, like, hey, tell me why you like Biden. Explain to me why you want to change the current trajectory and path that our political environment is in and going. And your defense of that is orange man bad. Like, that's not a defense.
right, yeah,
Like, you don't like the tonality of his voice. You don't like the tonality of his tweeting. You don't like the fact that he tweets. You don't like the way his hair works. You don't like the fact that he eats nothing but French fries and cheeseburgers and sips on Diet Coke. You're pretty sure that he's addicted to diet pills. Hey, cool. Like those those aren't a defense of the changing of the political process. That's just an opinion about a person.
Right.
So if you can't defend it, you truly don't believe it. And if that's all it has, it's like, but, like, that's the guy that's gonna have it. Like, I'll never forget the video after like Trump won the election. There was that lady freaking out on the airplane because there was a guy wearing a Trump hat next to her, and she's like, "That's the guy that's gonna have his finger on the nuke. How dare you?" Like, young lady, which is being generous because she was not young. Like, you don't even know what a nuclear weapon is.
Number one. Number two, the other guy's not going to know if it's a nuke or the doorbell because he's going to be confused. Like,
But I'm like,
he's like, nobody's coming to the front door. You know, it's like, no, it's
like
you like that?
yeah,
I got you there. No, but I'm
but,
with you.
but
Yeah,
it's like, if
but to
you
think
can't defend
70
it,
something million people voted for higher taxes. 70 something million people voted because Orange Man bad. Just astounds me. I'm not saying there's 70. I'm not saying there's a million votes that are not real, but it just is. It just were people that shaped. You know, Toby, we may have talked about it before. I was talking to someone about this recently. That when people used to ask me like, how, and it may have been some of my soldiers at one point. You know, how do the people in name a country, Afghanistan, Iraq, or whatever, how do they think we're going to come over there and steal all their oil and murder their children and rape their wives? Why do they think that? How are they so convinced? It's like, because all they have is this blue megaphones over that madrasa or over that, you know, Aman's house that's telling them that all the time. They have no, well, I'm glad we're not that dumb. Are we? Because you can replace the blue megaphones with a news channel or a couple of them that just keep saying the same thing, or five ladies sitting around a table mid-morning saying the same thing. And do you not follow? I mean, people say, how did all those Germans follow Hitler and do those horrible things? How could he influence all those millions of people? Well, I don't know. How are people influenced here? Because they're not taking time and making up their own minds, and they believe everything they hear. It's, look, spinning the narrative and doing an IO campaign, which is what we do on the battlefield ourselves to win over a populace and to influence, be a multiplier in the battlefield, is the same thing that's happening in this country, is the same thing that happens in third world dirt farming foreign countries that we fight in, because you just put one message in someone's ear over and over and over and they believe it. And that's exactly how 70 something million people voted for higher taxes for a dementia patient and for a lady who finished 17th in the primaries. Her own people didn't even like her and want her. She couldn't even make the top 5. And like you said, he couldn't even win more than one state. And somehow they've all gotten marching order right behind because everyone's told them that's what they need to do. Or because they hate someone else. One of the two.
It is. We're gonna have to move on here in a hot second. My final thought on this, though, is how, like, many Canadians have reached out to me, like my friends, my family, to talk to me about the election, and trying to be polite about it. I'm kind of like, why do y'all care? You know, but they really, like, because the way the media and the press, not just domestically but internationally, have painted this election and painted this past president, like, they've created a global call to action to hate somebody.
Right.
And it's like, and anytime someone's like, well, this guy, you know, like, he's a racist, I'm like, prove it. And because I can prove that he's not, you know, like,
right. Absolutely.
I mean, you know, like, well, he's a bigot. Prove it.
Well, you know, when Travis,
I can prove that he's not.
When Travis was on with me a couple weeks ago, he talked about the time he spent with President Trump. We talked about that. We talked about the people we know in the inner circle, and he talked firsthand, not what he heard, not what he spent a long time with him, face to face, and spending quality time with him, and it's what he has told me, and many others we know have told us that have been around him that have said, it's like there's, and Travis said it great. The person you meet one-on-one is absolutely not the person you, and he said, I thought the guy I saw on camera was who's going to come into the room, and it is a 180-degree different person. Because he says when he comes in, he's the president, and he looks at you and makes you feel like you're the most important person in the world, and he looks you in the eye, and he spends time. He's not looking at his watch. He's not distracted. You're like all that matters to him. And he goes, he walks out of that door in front of those cameras, and he puts that show back on. He's on. But yeah, anyways, we want to get going.
All right, so yeah, a couple things here. The possibility that we're in the twilight of his administration, and he probably understands that. Dude fires his Department of Defense, like unloads Esper.
Right.
Man, like
is that a scorched earth policy, or is it I don't think I'm going anywhere and I need to start making changes now. I don't know. Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Esper wasn't out there campaigning for Biden. I mean, it's not like it wasn't.
Yeah.
But to me, it comes across of I'm the president till the 20th of January. I mean, that's the way I look at it. It's like I'm not giving up now.
No,
right.
like I just like that's, and again, getting zero attention. A lot of things are going on, getting zero attention because everyone's fixated, mainly the media, on like trying to dispel like the potential like situation that is actually unfolding.
Right.
The proof and like Project Veritas bringing things out. It was like watching the Senate committees talk to execs from Google, Facebook, Twitter. It's really interesting. But the guy that they put in,
pipe hitter,
yeah, solid pipe hitter. I mean, one of the horse soldiers, in fact, the leader of the horse soldiers, multi-time guest of the show, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Amarine,
his BC,
his boss during that time, and like this dude is a pipe hitter, and it's been a while. It has been a while that we've had an actual pipe hitter in that position. Now, people are gonna, all my Marine friends are gonna get like, well, there was Mad Dog Mattis, there was old Chaos. It's like, man, that dude was not.
He wasn't pulling triggers.
He was not a pipe. He was not a pipe hitter. He was a great officer. He was a well-read, learned man. He was, his ego was his demise. But he wasn't no pipe hitter.
No. But I mean, to put it in perspective,
he did like, no, don't disrespect to him. I mean, he dropped a Moab. Like,
right. To put it in perspective, he was the one that wouldn't bring a QRF and help out Jason Amarine's team, where Miller was the one who was the commander that came in and replaced Jason's team when they got wiped out by a friendly fire on December 5th, right? So yeah. Miller was the senior guy on the ground from the B team that came in and relieved those guys because Jason's team every one of them was wounded or killed, right? So it happens you have a 2,000-pounder fall on you, and and so that both in the same theater, both in the same time, but this guy was on the ground flipping it from safe to semi and stepping off in the dirt. And
so like that's got to warm the hearts of the military. That's got to really like kind of show them, hey, I believe in you. I believe in your thing. I did not put a politician in here. I put a pipe hitter.
Right.
And it's a bold move, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't know why Esper's gone. I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything. I haven't read anything.
I've seen some stuff in the media speculating, but that holds about as much
but
water.
But that's speculation. Yeah, they speculate on a lot of things. But on that note, the offices of the president-elect, Biden, started naming people, and one of the person that he named, and you can't make this shit up because this is like the best, dude. And I gotta tell you, like,
I know you're gonna say.
I'm doing it, bro. I'm putting it on the air because like this is like the best. So this is an actual headline, right? This is a headline that a journalist wrote and an editor approved of a military paper, right? We'll call it Stars and Stripes, also known as stripes.com in the modern era. This is a real headline from today. Biden taps transgender veteran to join Department of Defense transition team. Like a journalist
did not read that. He didn't read the whole thing. He just kind of threw words on there and then
like Biden taps. And then it went to an editor, and that editor was like,
Yeah, it looks
"Yeah,
good.
like
Go with it.
in the
Print. Print it.
print, print, like in the age of hashtag Me Too,
And
like,
innuendos and everything else.
like, come on, like, this is awesome, like, this is pure gold. Like, I think I laughed so much when I like saw this headline before I even read the article. Like, I laughed so much for this headline because I'm like a 17-year-old boy in my heart. Like, yeah, dude, like a journalist wrote this and an editor approved this in the age of Me Too, and the fact that it's like presidential, the president, like the whole thing. But what it is really going on is on the transition team, Navy veteran Sean Skelly, um, who's like transgender, post service transgender, is you know part of the team, and uh, this appointment really comes like after the you know the current administration has like kind of like started walking back their transgender policy, because like you you got to serve as you are, not as you identify.
Right,
And
right.
it's like, hey, sorry, this is
But
like
on a
facts and
team
feelings.
for someone that, as you mentioned earlier, doesn't even have the
Yeah,
job yet. So,
yeah, yeah. But like the best part about it, like outside of the policy of it, because I honestly don't give a shit about the policy. I just laughed my ass off because like a journalist wrote Biden taps
oh, I know. Yeah.
and an editor approved it on on an actual official government funded military publication. That's right. In the age of hashtag Me Too.
You
Like,
know what I love that I heard is that some of the moderate Democrats are trying to tell Warren and Sanders to shut the hell up because they still have two Senate races in Georgia they need to win. So they're like, quit telling people you want to be the Secretary of Labor and Treasury. Like, America didn't like you anyways, and they're scared to death of you. Like, hush, we're trying to win over those people that are still in the middle that aren't the far left. But yeah, it's everyone's bucking for a job. And it's like, hey, Toby, I'm looking to bring you on as my COO. Oh, really? What's the company? I haven't started yet, but you're going to be my COO, so I
you're
need you to quit your
you're
job. And
you're my dog.
yeah, and you're going to be there, and our buddy Travis is going to be my VP of sales. But I haven't come up with the name of the company yet. I don't know what it's going to
Yeah.
be, but
But
trust me,
it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. Everyone's gonna love it, and we're gonna rule the world.
this is about 2 steps away from, hey, dude, I'm putting a band together, and when
Yeah,
we graduate high school, we're gonna tour. Can you play the drums? He's play guitars. What's the name of it? I don't know. Are we gonna practice? Yeah, we'll practice. I don't know what we're gonna play, but we're gonna put a
yeah.
band together. We're gonna be rock stars.
I got this person from the Flaming Lips that's gonna come over and join us. All
Yeah. So no.
right,
So we
that's
got
it. I gotta go.
we got Veterans
I gotta go.
Day. We talked that. We talked Esper. We talked politics. Tomorrow is Friday the 13th in 2020. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good. If you believe
Say
in
your
superstition,
prayers tonight.
that's right. Drink you some of that. Drink you some of that good good whatever you got, and say a prayer because yeah, it is Friday 13, 2020. Hey, it is I was sorry I missed you last week, Toby. I was down killing some meat, put in the freezer, and had a good hunt.
Love it.
And that season is here, as we know. VO is out there doing great
Yeah.
things.
That's where I'm leaving from right now. As soon as you let me off the show, I'm going down. We got some vets in town, and we're heading out to a ranch here in Texas tomorrow, and we'll have 5 vets going out and getting after it. So,
Getting after. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Well, hey, we'll let you go. Everyone have a good night. We'll see you guys next Thursday here on Stu and the Nunn, 8 o'clock Eastern. And until then, follow us on everything. I don't know if I've made us a parlor yet, but I will. I'm on the
we
parlor.
should get on the parlor.
Yeah, I need to make us a parlor. We're on everything else. You can find us on all of our socials. I got to throw us on the parlor. And be sure and tune in. Keep an eye on our site. And everyone have a good night. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Stu and the Nunn Show, and we hope you had as much fun listening to it as we did hosting it for you. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. You can find all these links at stewinthenunn.com. We will talk to you again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Thank you again, and have a good night.